Hello and welcome to our podcast. I'm Risa.
And I'm Ariana.
And we're the Krolmeister sisters. As a reminder, this podcast is rated T for teen for strong language and mature themes.
If you would like a podcast where they don't have to warn you about the content beforehand, then head on over to hers very own podcast, Unlocked. This time, they talk to the voice actor who played Pa. See? I got it this time.
Yes. I wrote it down.
You did.
So what are we talking about today, sister?
I think you mean who are we talking to? That was so
Who are we
dumb
talking
and cheesy,
to
and
today?
I didn't like it.
I know, but it was
Victoria,
beautiful. Go
introduce
with it.
yourself, please.
Hello. I'm Victoria. I also stream Nancy Drew, amongst other things, on Twitch and have done so for a while now. And I have been graciously invited by the Krolmeister sisters to talk Nancy Drew and Twitch and other things. So I'm very excited to be here, and I thank you guys for letting me be here as well.
Thank you for
Thank you
being
guys.
here. We appreciate it.
I said thank you guys.
You're good. You're doing great, sister. You're doing very good.
I'm doing awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. Honestly,
Sure.
This is so great. It's
Yeah.
nice to talk to another Nancy Drewer on
Yeah.
So, tell us about yourself.
Why don't you ask pointed questions first? I feel like we need to take this in a direction.
Take this in a direction. Okay, when did you first start playing Nancy Drew games?
Okay, so, I had grown up reading, like, the traditional Yellowback, so that was, like, my first introduction to Nancy Drew as a character, and then, because of my love for the books, my 10th birthday, a friend of mine gave me the original Secrets Can Kill. So I turned 10 in 2003, if you want to do the math to find out how old I am. And I was given that game, and I was like, me and my mom are going to play this game, and it's going to be great. Well, we started playing the game, and it took us 2 entire months to finish it. And we got to the end, and the ending terrified me. I didn't touch another game for 4 years.
Oh no!
So... it wasn't until I was, almost 14 that, my neighbor down the road, she was 2 years older than me, and we just kind of hit it off, became friends, and she had mentioned one day Nancy Drew games, and I was like, oh yeah, I had one of those, it was terrible, and I hated it, and I had nightmares for weeks. And she was like, well, which one did you play? And I was like, oh, it was Secrets Can Kill, and she was like, that one's pretty scary, would you play another one with me? And I said, okay, sure. I'll try it again. So I went over to her house every day after school for a week, and we played the newest game at that time, which was Secret of Shadow Ranch. And so from that point on, I was hooked, and I played all the ones between that and then continued to play them as they came out. And so it just became very special to me. A lot of those early games I have memories of playing with her. So I attribute her to my love of the game series now.
Nice.
That's cool. So you would then say, as your first Nancy Drew game, would you really count which one?
Well, I guess technically my first game was Secrets Can Kill, but the first game that really got me into the series was Secret of Shadow Ranch. So I really attribute that more to my first game, because then when I went back and played Secrets Can Kill again, I liked it so much more than I had the first time. So
We get that.
Yeah.
Our first game was technically Message in a Haunted Mansion, but we didn't finish it because the disc melted in the CD drive. So we say Treasure Memorial
Okay.
Tower was our first game because that was the first one we completed. So we get it.
Yeah.
Completely understand.
So it melted, you said?
It melted.
It was one of those all-in-one computers where it was like the monitor and the computer, and so the
And it
CD
just got
drive
way
was on
too
the
hot
side.
one day?
It got way too hot and it just melted.
That is so safe.
Yes.
So safe.
And honestly, and it was, there's a little light on her desk that got really, really hot. It could burn you. So I think that was probably had something to do with it too, because it was right behind the monitor.
It's 400 degrees, right
yeah.
there.
Yeah,
Basically,
pretty much. Yeah. Yeah, it was great. So when did you start streaming on Twitch?
So, my first stream ever was on April 15th, 2016. So, a year and a half ago almost, which seems like so long ago. The reason I had even started doing that was the only reason I ever created a Twitch account in the first place was to start watching Her Interactive streams because they started streaming their own games. And I realized when I was there that they were the only ones that were really streaming their games. And so I was like, you know what? I want to give their games more exposure. So I started streaming at that point, and then I found like the other 4 to 5 people on the entire site that were streaming Nancy Drew as well. And so through that, I was able to kind of, you know, you find other people that love the same games as you, and because of that, you just develop friendships with these people, and it just got, after I got into it, I was like, I'm too committed. There's no way I'm stopping this now.
There's no backing out.
Yeah, exactly.
So, were you, when you first started streaming the games, were you streaming them like in order, or just whatever ones you wanted to stream?
I did. So the first time I played through the entire series, I played them in chronological order. The only exception being is that my computer at the time just would not run the original Secrets Can Kill, so I played the remastered in its place. But I did play the Secrets Can Kill remastered was the first thing I ever streamed, and then I just moved through the series chronologically, including the dossiers. I threw those in there too, so that was fun. But yep, I've finished the entire series once, and then now I've been kind of just replaying them at random, depending on what I'm feeling or in the mood for, so.
Nice. That makes sense doing it in chronological order. We don't make sense.
You know, there's not many people that stream them in chronological order, I've found. There's only like 2 other Nancy Drew streamers that I can think of off the top of my head that I've ever seen them play them in chronological order. So, not as weird as you think.
True. I mean, part of it, I think, is just that it's so hard to find the earlier ones.
Yeah.
So, or if you had them before, they might have died in the meantime.
Yeah.
You know, if you had all the physical copies.
Computers.
Melted, exactly.
Yeah.
You know?
Let's get into Nancy Drew as a topic.
Okay.
So what are your top 3 favorite Nancy Drew games? Either just in general or that you streamed, or...
Do you want me to do like 3, 2, 1 or like 1, 2, 3?
I prefer 3, 2, 1. I like
yes.
the build up.
Building up.
Okay,
Suspense.
We'll go 3, 2, 1. So, fun fact about me, I love Nancy Drew probably way too much, and I have actually ranked all of the games in a list of my favorites, so I can reference it as much as I want. But for number 3, I have to give that to Ghost of Thornton Hall. It's my favorite, like, spooky game. I think it's got a really great blend of characters, atmosphere, puzzles, length, difficulty, all of those things. Plus, I myself live in the South, so it's got a little bit of soft spot for me there because it takes place there in Georgia. So that's usually where I give number 3. That sometimes gets flipped back and forth between Phantom of Venice, but currently it's what's at number 3. So Phantom of Venice is my runner-up, I guess you could say. Number 2 is Shadow at the Water's Edge. This is a game that I love more for the puzzles and music than I do for anything else, which seems like a weird thing. But I remember after I played the game through the first time and I went back, I just wanted to go back, and it sparked a huge love in me for nonograms. So I'm like a huge nonogram freak now, and I just play nonograms all the time, and I have a save file on Shadow at the Water's Edge where I go in and literally just like play nonograms and then start that file over and do it again just because I like the puzzles so much. And the music is just fabulous in that game, and so plus I kind of like how long it is. It makes you feel really accomplished when you like finish it again. And then number 1 is maybe slightly I don't know, stereotypical or not super surprising, but Shadow Ranch is number 1, and just because I do have such a nostalgic love for that game because of my history with Nancy Drew, and kind of the whole. Every time I go back, I just remember the excitement that it gave me to like play through the entire series, and you know, all the friends and Twitch and everything that it's kind of all led me to all kind of just goes back to that moment where I first started Shadow Ranch. So that one will always have a soft spot in my heart, and because of that, it is my favorite, and I will love it forever.
It's also a quality game, so, you know, you don't have to qualify it.
It's not even just quality through nostalgia goggles. It's just good on its own.
Yeah.
Honestly. I love that one. Honestly, all three of those that you just said were in my top 5.
Yeah.
Usually top 3, but I don't know. Sometimes I go, you know, Danger on Deception Island in that number 1 spot.
Solid choice, though.
Yeah. Otherwise it's pretty similar. Who are your favorite characters? That can be regular characters, Clue Crew, or it can be outside any suspect or any book character, even.
Okay. So my favorite characters change all the time because I'll be honest, while I remember characters, there's so many that just like looking objectively at the whole series, it's hard to just remember everybody. But ones that I always go back to are like Nicholas Falcone in the final scene. I just think he's such a strong character and so perfectly fit for that game. So I always just really enjoy him. Chase in Trail of the Twister is another character, and he's kind of like an underdog kind of character. Like, he's not overly flashy or super strong in his personality, but he's just kind of like this good dude that like you just get used to having there, and you know, he's got a lot of really great one-liners, you know. They call you Nancy because you Nancy too many questions, just like gets me every time. So stuff like that. I love, Jane in Blackmore Manor is such an incredibly like layered character. Really all the characters from Blackmore Manor I love, including Nigel, and I know he gets a lot of hate because he's a dork, but I love him anyway. Because he would be me in that game. If I was in a game, that would be me. I would be Nigel. So, characters like, I don't know, I like a lot of the, like, sassy characters. So, I don't know, like, Alexei from Alibi and Ashes. Like, he's just this older gentleman, and you don't expect him to just have that kind of sass about him, but he just, like, snaps off like nobody's business, and it's just really surprising and kind of refreshing in a weird way. So those are just some characters off the top of my head that always kind of stand out every time I go through those games specifically.
Nice. Ariana, you had a question here.
Oh, I did. Okay. Do you have any kind of crazy shipping or OTP that you happen to...
Well, I'll tell you, like, my ship with Nancy. Nancy should only be with Ned. I'm sorry, Hardy Boys fans. I love the Hardys. But it should be Nancy and Ned forever, in my opinion. So that's...
Risa, we made a mistake. We need to kick her out of the podcast right now. Okay.
And I'll tell you my least favorite ship that I've ever heard.
Okay.
And Nancy and Scott from Trail of the Twister gagged me, please.
No.
He could be her dad. Ugh. And I have read way too... This is probably an embarrassing secret I shouldn't say on the internet, but I have read way too many really gross fan fictions that were Nancy and Scott. But other than that, other than Nancy pairing, my favorite pairing would probably be... and this is never really officially, like, confirmed, but I'm gonna do it anyway right now. But Xenia and Thanos from Labyrinth of Lies. I love Labyrinth of Lies, and I love all of the characters in that game, so, but yeah, Xenia and Thanos. Also, Thanos is my number one Nancy Drew dude, I'm just gonna say. If dude was real, I would find out where he lived.
He did murder people, though.
I mean...
Okay, you're overlooking it.
Yeah.
We're splitting hairs here.
He's buff. Yeah. He
like,
is
fair enough.
Everyone in that game is so beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, you play that game and you're like, if these people were real, I would just stare at them.
Yeah, they're all just so distinct, which I really love too. So, yeah, that game is pretty high up on my rank, but
Yeah.
yeah. So those are my ship pairs, I think.
Do you have any, like, crazy ones that you like that no one else likes? We came up with Deirdre and Bess as our...
I feel like my favorite was Professor Hotchkiss and
Dr. Buford.
Dr. Buford. Thank you.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we come up with crazy ones.
See?
Craziest one you can think of that you like.
Okay, craziest one I can think of that I like. Let's do Deirdre and Henry Bolet.
Oh, man.
I can see it.
Yes.
Yeah? So
Yeah.
they're both a little
Absolutely.
dry. They're both a little sarcastic, right? But, yeah, no, I think they could keep each other in line. They would
Yeah. I
keep each
think
other
so
on their
too.
toes.
And heaven forbid anybody cross them, because that would be a scary couple to cross.
True.
I like that one. Usually you hear people shipping Henry with Mel from...
Yeah, but I
Warnings
just
at
feel
Waverly
like that's
Academy.
almost too predictable.
That's just putting goths together.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's too predictable. Like, it's the easy pairing, so I think that's why people do it so
Yeah.
much.
I guess I can see that. But no, I like the idea of Deirdre because with Summer, she's all pushy. And Deirdre's pushy, but she's pushy in like a I respect you way.
Yeah.
Not in
yeah.
an abusive way.
Right, exactly. Not like, buy me a sound system or I'm leaving you kind of way.
Just want to go back and one more time reiterate, Summer is a terrible character.
Summer is a terrible
horrible.
character.
Yeah, terrible girlfriends. Also, terrible girlfriend, while we're on that subject, Lexi from Thornton Hall. Like, sorry, but he's getting married, so...
Yeah, right. He's getting
Like,
married. I
maybe
feel like
it might be time to back off.
Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. What is your craziest headcanon for the entire series? At the end of all of our episodes when we talk about a game, Ariana and I come up with a crackpot theory, which is pretty much whatever we're coming up with on the spot. It just happens. So in the games, what
it's
is your
usually pretty
craziest...
stupid.
Oh yeah, no, they're inane. What is your, just a crackpot theory about all of the games?
So, this has crossed my mind a few times. And I don't know if I have any evidence to really support it, but it's in my head anyway.
We don't
None
need
needed.
evidence for these.
So, what if Professor Hotchkiss and Prudence Rutherford were the same person?
Go on.
And because if you've noticed, the only evidence I really have is in multiple conversations that Nancy has had with both of these ladies. They kind of forget who she is or forget aspects of her. So I'm wondering if she has like some sort of like, I mean, this is so tragic to say it out loud, but what if she has like early onset like Alzheimer's or dementia, and she has these two personalities and they're Prudence and Professor Hotchkiss, and so she's like incredibly brilliant as Professor Hotchkiss and then incredibly creative as Prudence, and those are like the two halves of her brain, and they come out, and so she knows Nancy because, you know, obviously she goes on multiple adventures courtesy of either of these people. So, but that's kind of a weird thing that's crossed into my mind before, is what if they're the same person and somehow Nancy's gonna find out that they're like the same thing, because she's never met Prudence face to face.
It's true.
So for all she knows, you know, it could be her.
Completely true.
I like it.
Someone recently had the theory that Professor Hotchkiss is Nancy from the future.
Huh.
Yeah, I read that one recently. She's Nancy from the future who goes back in time to help her solve cases she never finished.
So does Nancy at some point just like stop doing mysteries and start studying a whole bunch of French and
No.
Egyptian history?
Maybe. She's in her 60s.
Yeah, she's like, oh, time to retire. I'm gonna learn a bunch of things.
In all fairness, she doesn't seem to actually know too much about Marie Antoinette for somebody who claims to be an expert in Marie Antoinette.
That's true.
That is true.
I know so much about Marie Antoinette. I really need this journal so that I can know about Marie Antoinette.
I need to go look in a book and tell me how old Marie Antoinette was when she married. It was like, this feels like the number one thing you should know.
Yeah, true.
True. Yeah, but Prudence Rutherford, Hotchkiss,
I like it.
same person.
You know, could be.
I like it. We have lots of same person type things. Someone else was saying in our chat when I was playing Secret of the Old Clock, they were saying Josiah Crowley came back as Prudence Rutherford. He didn't actually die. He came back.
Like the whole, like, Clara thing?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I don't remember who said it.
That actually kind of exploded my brain for a second,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to process that one.
He liked dressing up as Clara.
Yeah.
And then, you know,
And
later
Prudence,
he was like, well, I just have to find another one. So he became Prudence Rutherford instead.
Huh.
Because why not?
And also, and I know I'm not the only person that's ever thought this, but Prudence Rutherford's voice sounds very masculine for a lady.
Very
and
masculine.
I constantly have to look up the casting and be like, was this voiced by a man? Because it sounds like it could have been, and it's not. But I've second-guessed myself multiple times, and I'm like, there's no way that, like, this wasn't voiced by a man. So this actually is starting to make sense.
I can dig it. Yeah.
I like it.
Before we ask you about what's up on your channel, let's do a lightning round.
Oh, boy.
We'll ask you a question, and you just have to say the first thing that comes to your head.
Okay.
Ariana, go.
Okay. I came up with a very a list. It's a list. Okay.
Okay.
They're kind of random. Some maybe a little harder than others. All right. Ready? Start the clock. There's no clock. Okay. Start easy. Favorite color?
Green.
Texting or talking?
It depends on the person.
Good point. Invisibility or super strength?
Invisibility.
Favorite junk food?
Oh, gosh. Cheese is not a junk food, right?
I mean,
It can be a junk food.
if you consume it en masse, I believe it
I
is.
do sometimes eat copious amounts, so maybe cheese would be my answer.
Would you rather ask permission or beg forgiveness?
Ask permission.
If you were really hungry, would you eat a bug?
Can I kill it first?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Okay, then yeah, sure.
All right. And take risks or play it safe.
I usually play it safe.
Those are all the ones that I came up with.
Favorite Sunny June reference?
Oh, gosh. Like a line from him?
No, any reference in a game.
Oh, Minette Studio. All of his doodles in Minette Studio, I think, would take it.
Favorite villain?
Oh, gosh. Thanos. Sorry.
I get it. Game that makes the least amount of sense to you.
Shattered Medallion. Sorry.
I feel like that's a universal truth.
Yeah. That or very closely followed by Ransom of the Seven Ships.
Yeah.
I don't understand a lot of that game.
Game that took you the longest to complete.
Ransom. It took me about 2.5 months. Yeah. Because I gave up kind of halfway through, so I'm including the break as part of it.
Right.
I accept that.
Yeah.
What was the game that took the least amount of time?
Secrets Can Kill Remastered. Like 2 hours. 2.5.
Yeah.
Super straightforward.
Pretty much.
Favorite Nancy Drew book?
Oh, Sign of the Twisted Candles, which is number 9 in the Yellowback series.
Bess or George?
George.
Frank or Joe?
It kind of depends on the day, but most days I'm gonna pick Frank.
I had one more. It was an either or. I can't remember anymore.
Lightning round.
That's
It's not
okay.
very lightning-y.
I know. It's because I had things, but I didn't write any of them down. So,
You were singing them out pretty good.
Thank
This is
you.
like
Right on.
the end of the lightning storm.
Yes. The really, really petered out ones.
Yeah, those.
Yeah.
Where it's starting to
obviously.
calm down and you're like, wow, it's actually kind of cool out now.
Exactly.
It's really just the eye of the storm. You don't even know.
Yeah. I have totally a lot more. No, I don't.
No,
I don't.
I think we're good.
It's okay.
Yeah. So tell us what is going on with you in the future.
Well, I have a lot of plans for my channel. I have more games than I think I'll ever have time to actually do. One really big thing that I'd kind of like to talk about, I'm assume that as Nancy Drew fans, you've heard of Arglefumf.
Yes.
His new game that's coming out on Steam in the next few weeks, The Pizza Delivery Boy Who Saved the World. I am the other lead character in that game. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'll be playing it blind. I could have beta tested it, but I decided that I'd rather just play it blind when it's all completed live on stream. So I'm really excited for that. I am a huge Nintendo buff as well, so I play a lot of Nintendo on my channel. The other series that I love as much as I love Nancy Drew is Pokemon, so I have all of those, and I plan to kind of slowly make my way through those. They obviously take a lot more time than Nancy Drew does.
Yes.
And I am still replaying Nancy Drew on senior mode through my channel, so that's been really fun to kind of revisit those games. I never really get tired of them, so...
No. Yeah.
I've been also doing like live book reading streams on my channel, and what I've particularly been going through is I collected all of the Nancy Drew books that the games are based off of. So I've been live reading the book versions of the games, and currently I'm in the middle of the final scene. I've been doing this chronologically, and it's crazy to see like the differences or like the plot changes or even character changes. Like, did you know that in Treasure in a Royal Tower book, Professor Hotchkiss is a man? Which is pretty crazy. So just like little finding out things like that and being able to do the contrasting has been really fun. So that's kind of my current plans going forward. And so just kind of seeing what works and what doesn't as I keep going. And, you know, there have been some things where I've tried and I'm like, this doesn't really fit very well. So, you know, it's just kind of like a learning process. It never really stops. And as my community grows and gets stronger, it's kind of cool to see what other people bring to the table. And like, I mean, even just using this as an example, like the community that you build and the things that you get to do with other people, even live on the internet from thousands and thousands of miles away, like it's a really cool kind of monster Twitch is. So I look forward to kind of tackling it as it comes forward and just kind of figuring out like what works and what I really enjoy doing, and kind of paring away the stuff that doesn't work or I don't enjoy as much. But
Very cool. So where can we find you for your content?
so I am at obviously twitch.tv/VBudkey, and that should be there in the little title then if anybody checks that out. But and then you can follow me on Twitter if you like. I post my stream schedule as much as I can. Sometimes that gets tentatively changed because my life's kind of crazy, and so sometimes stuff happens. But I try to keep things as up to date as possible on my Twitter, and post stream updates and things like that. So feel free to follow me there if you're not. But yeah, that's my basic stuff. I don't have anything too fancy in the way of usernames. My username is literally my name, so... Really
At least you can remember it.
If it works, you know.
Exactly. So yeah, this was our interview with the lovely Victoria. As a reminder, you can find us and talk to us at our Twitter, our SoundCloud, our YouTube, our Tumblr, or come to one of our Twitch streams and just yell at us in the chat. Everyone does it. It's the cool thing to do. You can also now subscribe to our Twitch page. You can, if you subscribe, you get access to our cute little wine glass emote. Or if you'd rather, you can buy us a digital coffee, ko-fi.com/Krolmeister Sisters. So, just as a reminder, I'm Risa.
And I'm Ariana.
And I'm Victoria.
And we're the Krolmeister Sisters. And we're asking you guys to stay sleuthy.